Right. President Bola Tinubu has emphasized the critical role of state governors in driving Nigeria's development and prosperity, saying their leadership at the subnational level is central to achieving food security, economic prosperity, and rapid national growth. President Tinubu also called for stronger collaboration between the federal and state governments to address pressing challenges, including local government autonomy, agricultural productivity, and currency stability. TVC News State House correspondent Femi Akonde has details. All right. Unfortunately, we couldn't bring you that report. But joining us in the studio is a public affairs analyst, Olade Areyo, to speak on this development. Good morning. It's good to see you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Now, this statement coming from the president, let me just quote what he said. He said that they are the link, a major link to the developments, you know, like he has rightly reeled out, talking about leadership and food security, economic prosperity, national growth. Is this an indictment to say that they are seemingly the weakest link with regards to what we are seeing?
Thank you very much. More than anyone else, Bola Tinubu is eminently qualified to advise governors. He was once there. And for 8 years, we all saw the magic of his governance in Lagos. Things changed for the best, and Lagos took on a new life, especially in terms of IGR services and all of that. Therefore, he had felt it before. Therefore, based on his experience, he had to let them know. Now, in mathematics, they say that the weakest link of a chain will determine the fortune of that network. Right. So far, I can confidently confirm that the governors have not been able to integrate federal arrangements with the local governments, which will now dovetail into massive democratic gains to the public. You will know this when you go into the inner parts of most cities. Yeah. In Dutse, for instance, you can just drive into Dutse from Kano State and drive out of Dutse. If you turn right or left, you are turning onto an untarred road. Yeah. So, and it's been like that in so many states of the Federation. Whereas if the governors have a working alliance, practicable one with the local governments, they will do more. Governor Ambode in Lagos State worked with the local governments. He called it 57 or something, or times 2. It was a road construction arrangement. He made sure that every year, each council will construct 2 roads, sometimes 3 or 4. And the impact was massive. He also ensured that every street in Lagos had a nameplate showing you where you are going to. So if you Google your location and you want to know where you are going, you are easily directed. That's, just immediate example that I can bring forth. So he was right.
It's an indictment.
Well, because, I've given you 2 examples now of one that worked and one that didn't work. Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure where we missed it. Is it because we can't essentially blame the current, crop of, leadership that we have for, I'm talking about the governors. Probably they met what they met on the ground, and they felt, yeah, this is what has been working, let's just stick to it. And recall that the Supreme Court also has empowered the local government in terms of national autonomy, where the president is also saying, listen, I'm not against you guys. You are still in control of the local government. So I felt, isn't that some way ironic when you already, you drag them to court, you won it, and then you're saying you're still in charge of the local government.
There is nothing. It was only being real about it. Yeah. In Ogun State, Wale Adedayo was a council chairman in Ijebu. Because Wale wrote EFCC complaining, I'm giving you a life story now, that the governor had been tampering terribly with their funds and was hampering their performance. What happened? Wale was arrested, he was indicted, and he was removed. an elected council chairman. That is not an example of what the people voted for. They wanted an inclusive government. The way the governor was voted for, Wale too was voted for. But what happened? Wale lost out. Why? He was an ordinary council chairman. So, and there are several cases around. Just like in Edo State, the new governor suspended purportedly all the council chairmen. The president, the AGF had to step in to tell him that, look,
that was wrong.
You do not have such constitutional powers. He went to court and all of that. If there are issues, why don't we think of sitting together and reconciliation before going to war? Because at the end of the day, you still come back to the table. So to that extent, we can go on and on with examples, but we must know that the spirit of the emperor that dominated most of our governors didn't give them space to allow council chairmen to function. And in some states, they've not had council election for so long. Okay? They just handpick their favorite politicians or friends or technocrats, make them council chairman, vice chairman, and so be it for years. That is not the spirit and the letter of democratic practice that we signed on to.
So what would it take to alter this this issue right now? Because you just mentioned something that was going on in my head. Two things: the governors, some have called them, they act like the Lord of the Manor and all of it. And then we'll look at the matter of the spirit of democracy, how it is that you were voted for, so was I voted for, whether I'm a councillor, whatever it is I am. But can these people begin to, talking about local government autonomy now, can they separate themselves without the support of the governors as it is? Would it be possible, or what would it take to get to that point? Because even though after the Supreme Court says that these persons have the autonomy and all of it, we saw some governors, there was election, and then we still saw that some parties won all this. So how is it even possible? Can we have this true replication of democracy at that level where each level is independent of the other, but yet having a symbiotic relationship?
Change is the most permanent possibility in life. So it is possible. It pains to look at the governors behaving as if their cookie was taken from them by the Supreme Court order. A lot of them didn't like it. And you begin to ask yourself, if the Constitution has explained how these things should be distributed and you should manage, you are not games masters or supervisors of the council chairmen. No, they have their own legislature. Who also, the Constitution also checks them the way the assembly also checks you. But they because they were so used to manipulating the councils and enjoying their funding. This is not a secret. I'm not saying what our listeners do not know. So they put up a fight. But at the end of the day, they are coming to realize that with the Supreme Court judgment, there is nothing anybody can do about it. Otherwise, if you run against the law, now you may have immunity. The day you drop the gauntlet, they will take you to court. And you are not going to be the one presiding over your case. And if you are found guilty, hey, that's jail time. Or maybe some hefty financial punishment. So I would not say it's not possible that they could get to where they are now, where the president was telling them, asking them to learn to abide by what the court has said.
That's right. It's
enough indication that he is determined to see that thing through. And when it comes to that, it's a bigger force. Let's admit that. Just like he is not the supervisor of states. States are independent.
That's right.
He cannot impose anything on any state. And I'm glad he also admitted that they own the lands. What more can anybody expect from him? It was very specific.
That's right.
So to that extent, they will either align and shaping, or they may be shipped out.
Well, I don't know how that. If you're I don't see how that.
Maybe I'm being extreme, but I just told you now that the only permanent thing in life is change.
That's right. So the thing is, let's get practical to some extent. If you look at some of these governors, most of the governors actually come together they have a meeting and all of that. Let us look at some of the states that are actually working in terms of putting down quality infrastructure, tourism, agriculture, manufacturing, etc., that have been working, and people will say, yes, this state is working. What lessons what are those states? And what lessons can the states that are not even moving, let alone playing catch up, with these states, what lessons can they learn from some of these states that are already, burgeoning?
Before we go there, I'll give you a story. I was watching TVC, and I saw, what's his name now? Otitoju, showing a video of a visit to Futa, the agricultural farm product. I have always been saying that government has no business giving agric university funding. Rather, they should mobilize them to farm whatever they may be their demographic advantage. If in your area tomato grows well, produce tomato, if not for the entire country, for your corner of Nigeria, okay? And that will give you an inkling. So in the same vein, if the federal government brings out a policy and the states keys into it, together with the council chairman, they can see how that policy will percolate down. For instance, federal government has no business supporting farmers. No, if the funding is being allocated, give it to the states who will work with the council to activate agricultural expansion.
On that,
the federal government cannot feed us. It is the state working with the council. And of course, if there are individuals with interest in agric, they can't go to Abuja to get land. It is the state they will go through. Again, it is easier for them to reach their council chairman if they have a requisition for land. Okay? Then, I mean, that exactly, I think, is what is trying to pass on to them. Apart from that, when I was growing up, driver's license was issued by councils, not by the state. By the time I was going to renew my first driver's license given to me in Jeburemo, in Shagamu, it was the state, that did the renewal. And we can go on. There are a lot of places where the state had withdrawn a lot of authorities and powers from the local government areas. All this radio license, TV license, they should belong to the local government, including managing registries, not states. But you see in some places, they superimpose some agencies on those structures, making them to be in control. And it's all about revenue, nothing more. Yes. And I'm not saying don't even raise the money, plow it back. Let it have meaning in the lives of the community. Imagine if a council says we are planting cassava on 100 hectares of land. If you have land, you need inputs, we will give you. It is easy. They know them. They can relate with them one-on-one. The government doesn't know all of these people that same way. So the earlier we begin to think about that, the better. We have agricultural products everywhere, and we are working only with the OBA CDA, and the CDA relates with the council chairman. So you can feel the flow. And at that point, you have higher success rate because everybody knows everybody. And if you're not performing according to par, you will be challenged. Yeah.
So invariably what the president is actually calling for is true federalism that a lot of persons have been talking about.
If you can call it that, or you can equally say is ordering restructuring. Yeah. Because a situation whereby a council chairman or a council chairman or council chairman in any given state or community will be pandering to the whims and caprices of the governor. It's uncalled for. I mean, they don't let them perform. The other day, some council chairmen, they were prostrating en masse before the governor, and they were singing one lousy servitude song. In what way? Which Agba? On what basis? I mean, it's a case of primus inter pares. You are on the same pedestal. You campaign for election. You were elected. You also campaigned. It was maybe at a higher pedestal. But the same way, people will not leave Abuja and come and say, Governor, give this road contract to this person or whatever. They too should give them some. So
politics does not come to play in all of this? Is that what you're trying to say?
I'm not saying politics will not come to play. For instance, I tried to contest councillorship in Abeokuta.
You have never forgotten this.
I know. I'm not hearing. By the time they gave me the way to go, and I was like, is this how you guys? They said, yeah, the way they do it. And the man talking to me happened to have been my childhood friend, He was born on a Monday. I was born on a Tuesday. Same month, same year. By fathers whose houses were by the side each other in Abeokuta. So I was like, and we were in grammar school together. We were protecting together before we parted. But we'll still see. I'm like, So he said that's how he got to the House of Assembly. And when he lost it, he pushed him more. It took more than 20 years before he would become a SSC or whatever to the governor. And I said, sorry, I can't work with this. So again, our political system or machinery needs cleaning up.
And that has to start.
It's too, as they say, it is what they call the dirty December.
Interesting stuff. but if you look at,
you can learn something new. You're going to pay if you want details.
but then our audience don't have to pay because that's the reason.
I will explain to them.
So, if you look at these states, they have different powers, they have different resources. Some of them are affluent, others are still. But there's this argument that no state is not rich. Every state is rich, just for them to
absolutely
tap from this. But then, if you still want to put it on the level of the federal allocation that they receive, it's not the same thing across board. Some are getting more.
But there are reasons for that.
Yes, others are getting. So, how do you think these resources? How can governors of these less states drive development effectively? Because some of them will say, but we're not receiving enough.
Thank you very much. I will have used Samvara as a good example. It's not a secret that they are mining gold in Samvara, but the bulk of the mining
is illegal.
So, to that extent, Samvara should be competing with Lagos State in terms of revenue. Gold is good money, but they are not totally in control.
And some others also have
a part of Samvara is in the arms and control of bandits. Some are managed by terrorists. There are different groups. So other parts are managed by foreigners in collaboration with some powerful locals. So they are derived the benefit of the gold being mined on their land. Unfortunately, agriculture has been made impossible. Why? I mean, just the other day, about 15 people were murdered and countless of houses set ablaze by Toji Bello bandits group. So these are the reasons why we cannot begin to talk of getting better financially ahead of improving their security situation. The massive insecurity across the northeast, northwest, and a part of North Central is known to everyone. And that's where Mr. President has to prevail on the security agencies who are far more than overstretched, to change the kinetics, look at the architecture, definitely improve their intelligence gathering so they can bring all these things to an end. And I'm glad that the CDS said, Toji will not live beyond this year. So that means peace is coming their way.
A lot of people are tired of hearing statements. I just want us to understand that. They just want to hear actions and that things have been done. So I'd like to set that aside, but also these activities of bandits, talking about insecurity in states now. Yes, the government has said we are bringing in state police. I'm wondering if you see that as a game changer at addressing this. And do you also think that perhaps the gaps that were left in the structure that we have is what these persons talking about cashed in on to carry out these activities?
No, necessarily. State police is not a tablet that will cure all. Let's get that very clear. And as it is, imagine a state that invited athletes to come and represent the state at a national sports competition.
Right.
They were not well kitted. They went there, they still do their bit. They were not paid their allowances. By the third day or so, they walked away from the camp. So can such a state embark on recruitment of state police? The financial muscle must be there. Security is not a tea party. It's expensive, it's costly. Now, some states can afford to have state police as far back as 10, 20 years ago. Lagos, for example, I'm not in government, but I can tell you that in Lagos, we spend more money on the federal police than the federal government itself. So, but there are states where they will have issues. You know, before the 70,000 naira minimum wage thing came, some were still not able to pay 30,000 naira.
Yes.
Now, they've been labored with 70,000, while other states are saying we will pay 75, we will pay 72, we will pay 80. they're still battling with how do they settle the backlog of salaries and pension on their neck. Therefore, let's not start seeing the state police as the blue bullet that will solve all the problems. The financial muscle has to be there. Maybe everyone has to come to their aid in that regard. However, with state police, a lot of criminal activities can be stopped before they will happen, provided the needfuls get done ahead of time.
What are these needful?
Part of it is the quality of people that will be recruited should not be based on, oh, it was our party thug, it was our boy, it was useful. It should be people who genuinely and truly want to be police. And you can determine all of that by passing through them profiling. Then there are a lot of tests you can do, like the reliability inventory. It can be taken to see, oh, if this person will be of value to us. If they can achieve that, the corruption, which has been the hallmark of the present police structure, will not be permitted to permeate that state police. So they can be very proactive. Yeah. And that being possible, there will be a lot of end to insecurity in certain cases. However, there are gangs with very powerful ammunitions. I mean, we only carry AK-47 within the organization here, but they have AK-49, including rocket launchers, aircraft, anti-aircraft missiles, and all of that. So where those ones overwhelm them, the federal army can step in, not police now, because it's a war situation. No longer a teacup issue. Has become a mountain, no longer a molehill.
But in talking about state police, do you not feel that we even have a bigger problem, on our hands now? Because we know that some Nigerians have actually given up on this country because, one, they are not able to get secure, meaningful, gainful employment. Some of them do not just want to live in this country. All they want is to want out of this country by any means. And some of these people might eventually find themselves in the state police, being recruited. Because even if they do background check, you can't know what is in their hearts, heart of heart. So,
you can't check their
exactly, you can't check their heart. So, and they might see it as an opportunity for them to feather their nest.
Well, you just said it now. Unfortunately, as a professional, I can tell you that to a large extent, I can determine your suitability or otherwise for a particular assignment.
You are a professional.
As a security professional.
That's what I'm saying.
I can determine. So if people with the know-how are involved, they will weed out those who will not belong. Why do we insist that when you are hiring, you do profiling? When you are promoting, from a level to another, also profile to be sure that the person that you hired 5 years ago is still the same person that you have, that he has not developed some ignoble and evil intentions, waiting for the right time to strike. All these are possible to that extent, because we can't just make it a tea party, all commerce and fair. No, some are not suitable, and therefore they shouldn't be allowed. Especially in the community where things that you never thought possible before were not happening. How do you explain two 14, 15-year-olds killing their friend for ritual, for money ritual? When we were growing up, it was unthinkable. Just like we were hearing of bombing, assassination, and all that in places like Beirut, and it was another world entirely.
And in movies.
But now he's here with us. I was so innocent that the first time I entered India, I was looking forward to people dancing on the street, the way we saw in the movies. But that's not the reality. So in the same way, we must be real with ourselves. No games. Because if we play games and that should fail again, we have nowhere to go. Is that serious?
Right, because every country has its issues as we speak.
Wherever you may go, they have issues. I can confirm to you, our children went to Ukraine to study medicine. Most of them, when the Russian invasion happened, they were stranded. 16-year-old, 17-year-old, walking, if you know the distance from Kiev or from Crimea to the border of Jordan, and they were being rejected. What sense would they have had or experienced to determine what to do? It took a lot of UN stepping in before they could be allowed to enter Jordan. And bombs were flying right and left. You know?
So
we have to build our country.
Yes, obviously, as it is. We
I'm
have
not
to be
running away
committed.
anyway.
You have to be committed. Well, some would say that you have nothing to go look for as it is
No,
at this stage of your life.
And you know, at what stage?
At this stage of your
There are
life.
many people of his age that are still
I'm
Japan,
not.
you know.
They are doing that for a reason.
Okay, they are going for Mugo.
And then they decide to stay back. But let's talk about the role of the people, because democracy is about the people themselves.
Absolutely.
And our mindset towards this matters. You recall that you mentioned that they say this is how we do it here. When you try to...
Now, hold me.
And then you
with
also...
all my educational qualifications and my...
You also
they
recall...
brought me down.
And you know what played in my head? The Yoruba version of them playing you down. What people say, the word they use, but let me not do that. So you also spoke about Wale Adedayo's
experience in Ogun State.
And you saw how people reacted. A lot of persons thought that he would have some backing of the people because he was working in their interest, but that was not the case. So I am curious as to the role of the people, their mindset in this kind of development that we are looking forward to.
You see, Wale's case concerned me. Why? Wale is my man Friday. I mean, somebody that will come to my house, I will visit him, we will eat together. And then when he was a people's person, so to say, it took him a long time to get elected. And then when he was elected, it was like, oh, finally, their man is on the throne. But when this case happened, there was not a whimper or a protest by his people. You understand? He wasn't saying that the governor's intervention in their funding was affecting his emoluments.
It was about the people.
Performance. But the people whose banner he was supposedly carrying looked elsewhere. Why? You know, when the chiefs are down, you are on your own in every situation. In every situation. It's only in very rare cases that you will see people saying no and standing up for people. We just had the recent case now. Somebody was accused of defamation. And they said the way and manner he was taken out of Lagos wasn't right. And there was noise everywhere. It was massive. But in Wale's case, not even online, where they could be cold and, you know, and play that they don't know me. You know, they can hide under. Nobody talked. And that is why the level of poverty in the land is such that...
Is this really about poverty,
I will
poverty
explain.
of the mind?
I will explain.
Okay.
If, for instance, you are getting some coins, being subservient to somebody, and that person now has, so to say, an enemy, your enemies, I mean, your friend's enemy becomes your enemy automatically. Then a lot of people... greed, selfishness, the spirit of me, myself, and I, they've overtaken us. As much as one might have been trying to be nice to some of these people, envy, say, must he be him? Why not me? So, such a chance will be for them. Let him go, Joe. Who is he? That thing is there. You know, when our Lord was taken to detention, a lot of his followers, they stood by him. They made all the right noises. Some went abroad to internationalize his detention. Even though he was jailed, but the government of the day had it very tough to sell it to anybody. But we no longer have that kind of loyalty here anymore. No, we no longer have it. Humanity lost it. And Nigeria is not any exception. Yeah, people are no longer loyal.
At what point did we lose it?
At the point of people became, poverty became a weapon, you know, became weaponized, whereby you can run people down and get away with it. You can make it impossible for people to advance. You know, some people are denied admission to university, but whatever it is, I've seen it done before. In a lot of cases, and it now became like, well, I should fight for myself. And that's where the spirit of me, myself, and I now took over. So if anything happens to anybody, you're on your own.
Probably because
but at the same time,
Nigeria as
it's not an exception.
One common,
patriotism.
You know, yeah, exactly. We've lost that sense of patriotism. And,
patriotism.
You know,
I can tell you for free that there are very few Nigerians out of the 200 million plus people. What do you have? Yorubas, Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, name it.
Yeah.
That's the mindset. I'm first of all a Yoruba man before. So very few people think Nigeria. Yeah. when you say I cannot leave, my friend left Nigeria at 70. Okay? He went to do security guard in the US at 70.
Wow.
Yes. So when he called me and said, Omo, I'm already working, I bought a car, I have an apartment, I was like, oh, really? At 70? And you go and stand in the warehouse for 12 hours? You can understand that. So, but for some of us, we have to be... my parents handed in Nigeria over to me. But what I have now is not what I want to hand over to my own children. So we must be here. We keep talking. I don't have anything.
And the question is it worth the fight? That's what a lot of, with the fact that a lot of persons are not getting the support.
We can't give up.
And those who fight are backstabbed.
Yeah.
If you read my message for the new year, I said, stop grumbling, stop complaining. Go and improve yourself. Learn a skill. Acquire an art or a craft. See how you can better your lot in the midst of all the crises. There are a lot of opportunities that we discovered, and we keep saying, if you want opportunity, reach out. And there are NGOs helping people in one way or the other. On the first of Eve on a radio program, I gave out recharge cards to 14 people, 1,000 naira each to 14 people, and they were so happy.
You didn't give me.
No, I'll give you yours before I leave today. Okay. So these are the ways we should be looking at this. And those of you who are men of means, help people.
Right.
Because some people will die and they will say he left 10 Rolls-Royce cars, he has billions of money somewhere. You don't need it in the grave.
So do you think that they've been appealing, or those who have gone before us have been appealing to, riches, and then, just like you said, weaponizing poverty, so much so that those of us, shouting food crisis, food unavailability, we do not think of going to farms, making use of the available space around us to better our own lot. Rather, we are looking for white-collar job. Everybody wants to speak English, hold biro and all of that.
Thank you.
And then we lost it along the line.
Thank you. Hopefully, before the end of this month, as part of one of my projects, which you may remember, we are launching Okoetile. Okoetile is meant to turn any space around you to a farm. Like that, the land mass you have out there, you can turn it into a small farm. You can plant yam in bags. You can plant so many things without necessarily hitting the ground.
But a real estate agent will say, no, come on.
No, let me see. When we launch out and the incentives will be so massive, the only thing is, before we can come to your location, it should be enough to accommodate 100 bags. So if we plant 100 bags of yam, yours is to water. Of course, we'll be supervising. When the season ends, you take 50, The people we take, we are not going to be eating. We are giving it to the lesser people within that same community. So you are helping yourself to help them because you are taking care of their hunger in a way. There's a man somewhere that
you can't take care of people's hunger for long. They also have
but we are only providing a reprieve. They are not going to be folding arms. For instance, we just discovered that
across
it's a mass thing.
Yeah.
We are starting with Lagos as a model, and if it works, any interested states can be invited. We give them the blueprint, they can go and try it. For instance, yesterday, I funded somebody to go and start a phone charging business. Phone and what do you call it? This machine, POS charging business. Why? There's a guy somewhere, he charges over 200 phones every day, and he collects 200 naira. Yeah. And I've interviewed him not once, not twice. He buys fuel, like 10K for the whole day, where there's no power supply at all. Imagine
in Lagos.
Yeah, in Lagos. Imagine charging 200 phones and you are collecting 200 naira. That's 40,000 naira. Fuel is 10,000. If it's not your business, if the owner will come and take the 30K, when the month ends, he will pay you. And imagine if the man is able to save 20K every day for 30 days, because it's an everyday business. That's a lot, 600,000 naira. You may think it's small. What do you need? Just need a panel with sockets and a generator, wired, end of story. It looks...
You're looking with the...
Side gig.
Are you saying business opportunity?
No, there are so many more that we came up with and said, enough of making noise on TV and radio.
Solution.
Let's help people. Let's be practical about it. And I'm starting this hopefully by Monday. Yes. So that way, you are already empowering people. We can't all go to the farm. But here in Lagos, more than 40% of us have no business being in Lagos. We left arable farmlands behind. Oh,
because we are looking for development and the fact that
green pastures.
there
are no green pastures everywhere. The pasture is not green now elsewhere.
Okay. You have to water it yourself.
You water it to make it green.
Absolutely.
And it takes a lot of efforts too.
I agree with you.
And commitment and passion.
Steps have to be taken. And it's good that you are contributing to ensuring that...
maybe in very small way. But if we have 1,000 of me doing that...
As much as possible, yes. Those who want to key into this dream might want to, get in touch with you.
No, they can get in touch with you, and you guys, you have my numbers.
Okay, that's fine.
If I throw it open now...
No, we are not saying you should throw your number open. But of course, your social media handles are there that people can reach out to.
Once they are me, my name is on the screen. So.
Okay, so it's just for them to search for you.
There are a lot of things. We should stop thinking, we are running away. A lot of people that run away, they can't run back. They said they have jackpot, they can't jackpot that.
Some are jackpot dying.
But some are running back. Yeah, because they are facing their reality.
Anyway, we'll have to leave the conversation here. Quite interesting, but we must thank you, Olade Ndeareya, for your time on the program.
Thank you for inviting me.
And well done on what you're doing.